Well, Joe Biden has apparently found backup positions for a few of his key allies who were blocked in their initial quest to enter his administration. That would be Neera Tanden and a little guy named Rahm Emanuel. So let's start with Neera Tanden. So her nomination to lead the Office of Management and Budget was derailed by bipartisan opposition in the Senate. She'll be becoming a senior advisor to President Joe Biden, two White House officials told NBC News last week. So initially wanted to run the Office of Management and Budget. What will she be doing now? Well, she'll be responsible for preparing for different contingencies. This is like a sentence designed to make you fall asleep and not follow what it's saying. Responsible for preparing for different contingencies that could result from the Supreme Court's consideration of Republican lawsuits seeking to strike down the Affordable Care Act. She's also going to launch a review of the United States Digital Service, which the White House says has a crucial mission of making government accessible to the American people online. So I'm sure there's some overlap between how that job will function and how running the OMB would. I guess management skills will come in handy, but it is fascinating that, man, once you want to get into the government, it's just whatever, you know? I want to be president, I'll take transportation, whatever, same thing. It's so weird how that works. But anyway, you probably, of course, remember she got into trouble during her hearings because of some of her social media posts with Republicans suddenly pretending that people being mean online is a really bad thing and they would never stand for that. That's not actually why she was blocked, but what do you think about her new position as a senior aide to Joe Biden? These are her roles right now, but that could morph into virtually anything.
So I have mixed feelings about all of this. So number one, in the old days, Neera Tanden and the likes of Rahm Emanuel would have run any Democratic administration that came in, especially one as historically conservative as Joe Biden. And so now Rahm Emanuel is probably going to get ambassador to Japan, and so that's a thing that makes is a consolation prize. And so he'll get to call himself ambassador for the rest of his life, and he'll feel good about that. And most of these guys in politics only care about ego, right? So that'll fulfill his ego a little bit, but it is irrelevant in terms of policy. So good, Rahm Emanuel is not in charge, right? So now Neera Tanden, then another, would call them moderate, but I would call them economically right-wing Democrats, got blocked by the Senate. Now, this is where it gets complicated. I disagreed with the Senate blocking all of the picks because they were all very safe, very moderate. Neera Tanden's more moderate and more corporate than almost any of them, and they said she was too extreme, right? Yep. And so no, that's absurd to think that she was too extreme for Republicans. And I didn't want the Republicans.
Or too profane.
Oh, come on, with Donald Trump as president. Come on, right? So I didn't want to set the precedent that the Republicans get to pick Biden's cabinet. So I thought they should have fought more for her, but not based on her or her ideology, but a principle that the Republicans should not set the cabinet. But once they lost that fight and Biden withdrew her, then I got no interest in Neera Tanden. I don't want Neera Tanden to be a senior advisor to Joe Biden. She'll probably be his most conservative advisor. And in terms of what's more powerful, OMB director is very powerful because it controls the budget. But remember, it doesn't really control the budget. It controls the first draft. That's still a lot of power, right? The first draft is very, very powerful. But at the end of the day, they're gonna make joint decisions. Senior advisor means you're in the room.
Yeah.
And they found an excuse to put her in the room, if we're being honest about it, right? And we are, the rest of the media won't. But she's gonna deal with if the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, gets knocked down in part by the Supreme Court, and she's preparing ahead of time for that. That is a super vague role. And then she's gonna do digital blah, blah, blah. No, that's means
hang around.
Yeah, that means hang around, and she's in the White House every day, in the daily briefings every day, and give me conservative pro-corporate advice. No, that gives her more power, not less power. And so I do not like this development at all. I don't think Neera Tanden should have gotten that job, but it's not up to me. The chief of staff, Ron Klain, is old friends with her. They worked together before, and they were gonna get her in by hook or by crook. So this means, unfortunately, Rahm Emanuel getting sidelined was good news. I was hoping that she would get a minor role and it would be generally good news. Progressives are rising a little bit and the conservative Democrats are falling a little bit. But given that she's gonna be in the Oval Office every day, no, it is not good news. They are not falling. Conservative Democrats still very relevant in Joe Biden's circle.
Yeah, I agree with you on her 100%. Let me go to Rahm Emanuel. I don't like him. He's the worst mayor Chicago has ever had. He has engaged in systemic cover-up, the murder of Laquan McDonald. He did some other things that were contrary to growth and progress in that city. When Rahm Emanuel's name came up during the election of Joe Biden, black folks made it very clear, Joe, don't go there. This is a guy that we have deemed to be a no, okay? He disappears for a moment, and after Joe Biden gets elected, because a whole lot of black people showed up in places like Candler Road in the state of Georgia, the Democratic primary in South Carolina that changed the entire trajectory for Biden. When things like that started happening, we made an assumption that Joe Biden would listen to black folks. And then Joe Biden, when he finally makes his acceptance speech, he uses the term or the phrase, "You had my back," to the black community and I got yours. Well, Joe, this is not having our back, Mr. President. We don't want Rahm Emanuel anywhere near government. I get it, being ambassador to Japan, that is kind of a sideline position. I feel like these guys are somewhere fiending for government jobs, and it's almost like, just give me whatever you got, right? I'm tired of it because it sends the wrong message to the group that you need to come back out and be excited to vote for you. We're not excited about voting for you again or people connected to you when you give positions of nobility and power to individuals who have been contrary to the progress of black Americans. And that's the reality of this pick to me.
That's just a fact.
Yep.
And so, and Joe Biden forever thinks he's balancing interests. And I get the urge to do that when you're president. But there are such things as red lines. And there's very good reason for Rahm Emanuel to be a red line, both for progressives and African Americans. And why? Why would you pick a guy so conservative that he is universally despised, not by Republicans? Republicans are generally fine with him. There's all this talk about how tough Rahm Emanuel is. He's never, ever, ever been tough to a Republican. I've never seen one instance of it, and I have followed the news with microscopic attention. He's only been tough to progressives. He's celebrated for being a person who hates progressives. And he was awful to African Americans in Chicago. So what do you owe him? And why do you owe him so much that you're willing to go against your base, your core of your base, to give him this job? And the reality is they just can't let go of the past. So they love conservative Democrats, they love corporate Democrats, and this is Joe Biden showing that love to them.
Yeah, and it's believing that positions in government, a government salary is just it's yours to hand out. I mean, how many times over the last 4 years did we get enraged at the corruption and grift of the Trump family, handing out things to his family members, giving them positions they weren't qualified for? This is the same thing. Rahm Emanuel is not Joe Biden's brother or anything, but it's our resources, our tax dollars being put into a guy who's just getting something because he's been around for a while. He didn't earn it. He's not gonna work for it. He's just being given it. We should be as angry as we were back under the Trumps.
And he doesn't have a history of success. I could understand if some individuals probably may not ideologically align with my full agenda, but they have a marked history of success somewhere. You have with this cat a marked history of failure, and you're still making him win somehow. You're still creating positions for him to win. There are people that are actually winning who are progressives, who have great ideas, who have been able to implement and execute these ideas, and you are universally no to the vast majority of them because they're not your buddy. And here's what's happening in Democratic politics, and it happens in Republican politics. It's a good old boy network. That's what it is. This is the good old boy network, Democratic style. It has a little more swag, but it's the same thing.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.